Hello and welcome to IABM TV. Today I'm joined by Stuart Boorn, Head of Product Management for Media Processing at Ericsson. Stuart, welcome to IABM TV.
Pleasure to meet you.
How have the shifts in media processing affected broadcasters and operators?
So broadcasters and operators have seen an increase in the amount of competition. There's a whole load of new content available from providers like Netflix, from YouTube, and that means that the consumers are changing some of their viewing habits. And the broadcasters and operators are needing to try and work out how to deal with that. What do they actually need to change in order to meet the increased demand for content, the increased flexibility that they need to do to be able to keep up and compete?
What are some of the key drivers of this change?
So the drivers of this change, really, a lot of it comes from an increase in pace of change in technology. When you look at linear TV sort of 10 years ago, it was very much focused on fixed playout systems, fixed encoding architectures, fixed head ends that basically delivered 4 or 5 different services, which then grew across cable networks and telco networks, but it was all very focused around linear. Now the technology's enabled a shift towards a mixture of on-demand and linear, and smart TVs mean that customers can really access whatever content they want whenever they like. And that shift in technology change, the move towards more software flexible architectures from playout to the delivery to consumer, has enabled some of these players like Netflix and YouTube, who've driven a lot of that technology change from the IT industry into broadcast, to adapt and to create these new services. And it's how that technology evolves that's enabled this rapid shift.
So with all this shift in changes, what sort of technologies are required from companies such as Ericsson?
So Ericsson really has to focus on what do we do with software? How do we match that pace of change that our broadcasters and content provider and operators need from us to help them adapt? So what we've been looking at, and we've done a massive portfolio evolution over the last few years to look at how can we use more software technology? What does that then enable in terms of further technology shifts to enable our customers to shift and adapt? And it's the use of more software, the move away from that fixed infrastructure, that enables us to create that massive pace of change as well.
So Stuart, over the last few days, the word customer has come up loads, more so than in the past when I've been doing these sort of things. And how do you think the needs of your customers are changing? What are their priorities?
I think the needs, one of the fundamentals is that the needs of our customers are shifting more quickly. They want to be, they don't want to be fixed on one service. They don't want to be fixed on one set of linear channels. They want to move from a live event to the latest YouTube star. And our customers, our direct customers, if you like, the operators, the broadcasters, they need to be able to fulfill all of those needs. But what they can't afford to do is to build whole separate ecosystems for all of these delivery types. So they're looking for us and Ericsson to be able to create an entire ecosystem that gives them the flexibility of any delivery media so that it's efficient, as well as the quality that they're used to. Because our customers and our consumers still demand the same amount of quality of their video service that they had 8 or 9 years ago. In fact, it needs to be better because we've got bigger screens, bigger handsets. So for us, we've had to focus on not only all of these deployment types and this flexibility, but still retain our competence on what are the algorithms that we need, what's the premium quality service really need to look like, how good does it need to be, how do we make the OTT services run at the same broadcast type quality such that they can be used for those viewing habits that our consumers have got now. Because they no longer just say, I want to watch live broadcast on my telly, I want to watch it on my tablet, I want to watch it on all of the different consumer devices that I have.
So how else do Ericsson accommodate these changes in demands?
So the other ways we've had to deal with this, and we've had to fulfill the needs for our customers, is looking at, okay, we've got the flexibility in deployment models, we've got flexible licensing architectures. We've also got to look at, okay, what do the business models look like? Because there's no longer a case where our customers will come to us and they will just refresh their infrastructure every 3 years. They'll forklift out the old set of equipment, they'll decommission it. It's not like that anymore. They've got a continually rapidly evolving cloud infrastructure which we've provided, which we need to make sure stays current, and in order to do that we need to meet their business models to enable them to be able to afford to meet that rapid evolution as well. So we need to keep the technology moving, but we also need to change the business model so that our customers can afford to do that too.
So it's probably very difficult to predict the future with the way things are changing at the moment, but how do you see the broadcast industry evolving?
I think one thing's for certain is it's going to evolve more quickly. We're seeing 360 video come along and all of the new use cases that might provide, and it looks like that's moving towards more of a reality. I think we'll see the broadcast industry move towards more of an understanding of exactly what their consumers need, not just on a month-by-month basis, but almost on a day-by-day basis, which is pushing us to look at technologies like analytics, that type of area. And I think it's all going to become a lot more consumer focused in a little bit of the way that the operator, the telco industry moved towards, is like understanding how you give that choice to the consumer, but also understanding how you continually fulfill their needs on a day-by-day basis, not a month-by-month or year-by-year basis.
So working much closely with them as well.
More closely, more understanding, more analytics, more feedback into these flexible architectures that we're now providing, which work from right the way from the camera in contribution through to the delivery to the home. That whole thing is now a completely flexible software-based but accelerated processing chain, still with the premium quality, but what we've got to focus on in the future is making sure that we deliver that premium quality to the right place on the right infrastructure and with the right understanding of what the consumers are watching.
Okay, so we've looked at the changes in the industry, how Ericsson fit into that, but what's new for Ericsson here at IBC, Stuart?
So new for Ericsson here at IBC is that in the last 2 years, we've evolved what we call our direct-to-consumer platform, and we made the Invivio acquisition, and what that brought in was a whole lot of new software technology, both in terms of algorithms for that premium viewing experience, as well as the architectures to be able to deploy our software in the cloud. And we have that in place, and we like to think that we're leading the way in terms of how do you get a real media processing architecture in using open source where possible in the cloud. And we've done that in the direct consumer space, so we have that here launched at the show. But what we've also said is, okay, well, all of the content that's going towards our consumers and to that direct to consumer platform, that also needs to have an increase in the amount of flexibility that it offers. It can't be a fixed link and a fixed pipe anymore. So we've got basically our cloud-based operations, which we've launched here at the show, as well as our content processor and our distributed cloud architecture, which basically gives you that entire flexible end-to-end ecosystem, which fulfills those needs that we were just talking about. But what we haven't done is we haven't left behind the fact that our customers need to understand how to deliver their SDR and HDR services alongside each other, and how we fulfill the needs for customers to move towards HDR and 4K whilst without damaging the premium experience that they need. So we're still showing our development in our algorithms, how our OTT broadcast applications are moving forwards. So that's also here new at the show. And then finally, we've also got an interesting new way of looking at 360 video and how basically the experience of 360 partnered with 4K can show you how you can have a tablet in your screen in your home, and you can basically see that 360 video experience without necessarily needing that headset.
Right.
So, and what that really shows is that, as I mentioned before, there's all of these different ways to consume video now, and we're enabling all of those different ways at premium quality, as well as providing that infrastructure to be able to do that. I guess the final point that we're showing is we haven't left behind things like redundancy switching, the 5 nines quality, and when we move to the cloud, we're doing it whilst retaining that experience as well. And you'll see that on our stand too.
Okay, it all sounds very interesting. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You can find out more at ericsson.com.